Hello, I am Anti-Derivative Jill, and this is Indefinite Lunch and Infinite Combinations number 47. Today we're reviewing the next original series episode in production order, A Taste of Armageddon. And today I'm joined with Pop Culture Curator and Scotty R37, and I'm too excited for this episode.
Same here. Hello, everybody. Hola. I can turn my volume.
Absolutely smashing.
Yeah, exactly. It's spectacular. There are many times where I have to express my love for a certain episode even before I really review it, and this is one of them. It's definitive Star Trek with amazing ideas that leave you thinking in all sorts of directions in different situations regarding not only the state of war, but also artificial intelligence's role in it. And since I'm going with the idea that it's okay to discuss the important themes of the episode, I can read this first part of the book that I read from Star Trek 365, the original series by Paula M. Block and Terry J. Erdman, and the idea to use this is from Raquel Briggs from the Clodburn Times channel, so definitely go subscribe there and also read Raquel's amazing short stories, now available in hardback and paperback and everything. Go check them out. But now the first thing I'll read is from the book here. It's a pretty good book. So it opens with the quote, "We're human beings with the blood of 1,000,000 savage years on our hands. But we can stop it. We can admit that we're killers, but we're not going to kill today. That's all it takes. Knowing that we're not going to kill today." From Kirk, obviously. And then it says, Star Trek was always a message show. And more often than not, in an era when the Vietnam War was on the mind of every American, the message was that war is bad. It would be said often over the course of 79 episodes, but perhaps never as eloquently as Kirk puts in A Taste of Armageddon. Death, destruction, disease, horror, that's what war is all about. That's what makes it a thing to be avoided. But you've made it neat and painless. So neat and painless, you have no reason to stop it. And you've had it for 500 years. This episode is a perfect counterpoint to the one that preceded it, The Return of the Archons. There, a computer keeps peace in the society it oversees by restricting the emotions of the planet's inhabitants. Here, the governing council of Eminar 7
Eminiar 7.
Eminiar 7 has nearly eliminated the populace's emotional response to death by allowing a computer to run its 500-year war with a neighboring world.
Vendikar.
They don't get a number, but I guess because they're the colony planet from 500 years ago. Thank you for joining me today, Pop Culture Curator. I'd like to remind everyone to make sure you're subscribed to his channel. Over there, we have some animated series reviews, and he's got some horror stuff and some Gilligan's Island.
Thank you, Jill.
You're welcome.
And thank you all for being there last night. I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, last night. Yeah, that was super cool.
It was fun.
It was fun. A fun time. I feel a lot better about that episode than I did going in, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, therapy helps, doesn't it?
You're welcome.
And also remember to subscribe to the Phantasmagorium show with Scotty R37 and his friends. I don't think much is going on this week, but usually they have stuff going on.
Yeah, sometimes.
And as for me, for my channel, I also have to say that there will be no Friday stream this week. I have away mission. It's going to be fun, a fun away mission. I guess shore leave.
Well, we will miss you, Jill.
Thank you. But this episode, A Taste of Armageddon, first aired on February 23rd, 1967. But before I do that, I think I have a lot of chat, so I better say hi. Hello to
everybody.
Admiral Teague. And Daniel's Hot Topic. And Mega Cropper says, can we discuss the Doomcock Bob Burnett drama before the episode? No, I'm sorry. If I do that, we're going to be here the entire time talking about that. And Doomcock is my friend, and
Robert Meyer Burnett is mine.
Yeah, I never really talked to Robert Meyer Burnett, but I've been listening to him for a couple of years. So my interaction with him is strictly parasocial, but I do enjoy the shows that he puts out. And so I don't really want to talk about the drama exactly. But
Hey, Daniel's Hot Topics.
I am following it myself, and there are.
Thank you, Jill. I think it's a topic best to be avoided.
Oh, this just isn't the place to do it.
No. Well, I mean, yeah, if I had a Friday show, we'd be all in on it. And James Caserta says, war is just plain old fun. And Daniel's Hot Topic says, darn, I'm not going to make it. I got to go out soon. Oh, well, thank you for stopping by anyway. You can, check it out on the replay. Thank you to everybody who's lurking or watching on the replay. Be sure to like and subscribe. Nothing.
Vindicar, Immediar. Your General Order 24.
Okay. Okay.
I'll hold off. I'm not going to do it liberally. I'll put it in when it happens.
Eventually, it'll stop being so funny.
Yeah. And that was just a trifle. Thank you. Hey, Tony. Hey, Darius Munchausen.
But it did make me think. What are General Orders 1 through 23? Hello, Darius.
Blow up a city block. Blow up a city. Blow up a continent.
And hello to Tony Stark, Resolute Germ, pop culture curator, Berta Prey 5, Kapa. And Tony Stark says, hello, we are doing the Death on Neat Wholesale today. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Those are all words.
Yeah. And my Stream Ellen spot is working. Go check out Raquel's books. I should really be putting in her Patreon, but I'll do that later because I got to get started on the episode. JD Lewis, hey.
Hola, JD.
I'm going to do that thing that Mark D with the C does where he just rotates all the links of all his friends so I don't have to worry about it anymore. It's pretty smart.
Nice.
He's an engineer. He knows what he's doing.
Gorilla.
Hey, Gorilla, and hello to Matt G. He always says, Jill.
Hey, Matt G.
No.
Yeah.
I love Doomcock, and he's going to continue to do his thing, and so will R&B, and I love them both. The end.
That was easy. That was great.
Hola, ¿cómo está?
I'm doing very well in Spanish, Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown likes. Muy bien.
Oh, is that it? Cool.
Yes. Franco Walker says, damn, I'm late. Hi, Jill and gang. And James Caserta feels jilted. But Mega Cropper has some popcorn.
Jilted?
And I don't know.
No, but never mind.
Yeah, he spelled it with 2 L's because I'm Jill.
True.
I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not trying to evaluate that too much. Hello to Yamas King. Yes.
Hey,
did I miss Gorilla's comment? Come on. I mean, I'm sure I read it. He says lurking like a peeping Tom today. Oh, okay. I did say hi to you though. I gotta read everything. Goodness.
We should start a show that is just chat. We don't do anything except for wait for the chat.
But I don't want to take Captain Infinity's stick.
Oh, fair enough. You got a thing.
Mr. Brown Lion says Franco Ian sends his thanks. JD Lewis also says Kirk's speech in that episode was later referenced in the animated series episode. One of our planets is missing. Oh yeah, you know what? Okay, we did watch that on Pop Culture Carriers channel.
We did.
Tony Stark is tempted to come up and read the quote as Rick.
Please,
right.
Please, no. Please, no.
You're only going to be amusing me, nobody else. The story by credit goes to Robert Hamner, while the teleplay credit goes to both Robert Hamner and Gene L. Kuhn, because apparently this episode received many rewrites from Gene L. Kuhn. And it shows because this episode is stupendous from all of that work. Because sometimes you have the case where there's too many cooks in the pot, but in this case you had just a couple of writers, one who kept rewriting until it was perfect. And
it is.
And it was directed by Joseph Pevney. And Captain Finity says, "We are nothing without the chat." Absolutely.
True story.
Even if I don't read them. I read many chats. Captain's log, Stardate 3192.1. The Enterprise is en route to Star Cluster NGC 321. Objective to open diplomatic relations with the civilizations known to be there. We have sent a message to Eminiar 7, principal planet of the Star Cluster, informing them of our friendly intentions. We are awaiting an answer. And the answer is Code 710 from Mahura. Kirk says Code 710 means under no circumstances are we to approach the planet. So Kirk's ready to just head out. Like, oh, okay.
All right.
Listen. No circumstances whatsoever. But Ambassador Fox is there. Oh, wait a minute. I don't even have my slides going. I'm just excited to talk about this episode. I forget.
Super jazz.
I was wondering.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the wonder.
There we are.
Oh, is that where it is? Great.
Mm-hmm. There's that Ambassador Fox, giving his first dangerous order to send the Enterprise anyway. His reasoning is that thousands of lives have been lost, and the Federation can prevent this with a treaty. Because, of course, any ship that interacts with the planet becomes a casualty of their war. And we get another captain's log. Stardate 3192.5. Now in standard orbit around Eminiar 7. My orders are clear. We must establish diplomatic relations at all costs. Preparing to beam down to the planet's surface. And have a funny trip.
We'll do our best.
So, Spock says about Eminiar 7, we know very little about them. Their civilization is advanced. They've had spaceflight for several centuries, but they've never ventured beyond their own solar system. When first contacted more than 50 years ago, Eminiar 7 was at war with its nearest neighbor. And also that the USS Valiant was lost trying to make a report on this planet.
Really fantastic matte painting. Sorry.
Yes. No, you're absolutely right. I'm almost there. Okay, but okay. I'll do it first.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, but that's okay. No, because I do love this matte painting too. It's beautiful. And the book says about it. While many Star Trek tableaux were re-envisioned a few years ago for the remastered release of Star Trek in high definition, some were so iconic that the producers merely color corrected them and cleaned them up. Albert Whitlock's original matte painting of Eminiar 7's futuristic cityscape seen here received little alteration. The new CGI version followed the lines of the old painting very closely, but added a few moving elements, such as a hover train and several tiny humans walking in the deep background to make it less static. Members of the crew worked on the remastered series. Members of the crew that worked on the remastered series played the humans.
Oh yeah, I forgot because even during court martial, I think I saw Michael Okuda.
Oh, you did in the background?
Yeah, he was off to the left.
How are your eyes that good?
I have a very big screen.
I was wondering that. I thought it looked like they were moving kind of in slow motion, but I could be wrong.
That's great. Yeah, well, you could be right. You're pretty good at this production stuff. It's like you can make movies yourself. Ambassador Fox wants to beam down, but Kirk refuses for his safety, and Kirk's landing party heads to Eminiar 7. He's taking Spock, Yeoman Tamula, Lieutenant Galloway.
Tamura? Either way.
I'm just saying it the way it's spelled. I could be mispronouncing it. It's Tamula.
Oh, my mistake.
I could type it in the chat here. If I'm saying this wrong, I would like to be corrected.
No, that's Tamula.
Lieutenant Galloway, and Lieutenant Osborne. Well, I mean, I do try to keep track with the red shirts if I can. Last episode I was neglectful, so this time I tried.
Well, remember, I couldn't remember who the other guy was. We had Mr. Leslie and the other guy.
Mhm.
It's Mr. Galloway,
Okay. Which one's Galloway?
the guy on the left.
Oh, okay. And they meet Maya.
Yeah, it's odd that all that around them, all that architecture, they're focusing on that wall. So it kind of doesn't really match up with the matte painting, but oh well, I'm willing to forgive it.
Me too.
Yeah, you think the
That's a good
first thing they
point.
would do is they would step around the wall and say, wow, look at all this. But they're all really intent on looking at that wall.
It is a beautiful matte painting. I would marvel at it. So Kirk is surprised to learn that even after 50 years, the planet is still at war with Vendikar, a planet settled by Uminiar 7's population. And it hasn't just been 50 years, it's been 500 years, even though the society is advanced and there's no physical evidence of war. This is because it's showing the difference between AI controlling the population. So in the Return of the Archons, there was a AI stifling creativity, and thus society never grew beyond its reign of control. Here, the AI is merely a tool that is dictating to the people whom should die, but the people are still in control, so they've still been able to grow as a society, though at the great cost of self-imposed genocide.
Do you think it's partial because it's population control?
I think it's more about the preservation of their culture and their architecture and their world itself, as opposed to trying to facilitate any sort of population control.
Well, there has to be some kind of population control because of the millions of people that die every year. So it's a bit like raising cattle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that if they had the option, they wouldn't choose to kill 3 million a year. They're choosing to kill the 3 million a year in favor of maintaining the longevity of their civilization.
Mm-hmm. Unless there's a minor typo, then ignore the chat, says Captain Finity. Oh.
They are an advanced species, but their pants technology or trouser technology is lacking. It seems that it's secured by shoulders and sleeves, which is too high for a pant to be secured.
I thought it was kind of an odd outfit choice. They have bell bottoms on one leg and then their pants tucked in the other. But
I think it looks great, but it's silly.
It is.
That was a look of judgment. Look at these guys' pants. How did they
pants? Right.
I know. That's why I wanted to move the slides since y'all guys are talking about the uniform.
Right. It's a funky looking costume.
Shoulder pants. And shoulder trousers for our English friends, because pants are underwear in jolly old England, of course.
Toner Stark says that the architecture of Uminiar 7 always to me was awesome to look at.
And I like those back the war maps behind them. Reminds me of NORAD.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, NORAD. Oh, yeah, that's coming up. Tony Stark says 1 little, 2 little, 3 little red shirts.
Diverse little red shirts.
Oh, yes. Oh, and hello to Herc 130. Herc 130 is here. And Mr. Brown Alliance is using that computer now.
Nice. Hey, Herc.
Tony Stark says, it's to fuel the incentive of development. The AI is ensuring that the economic or traditional boom is met by ongoing war via chosen genocidal events.
But the people are in control of the computer. It's not a Landru situation. It is the Aminiarians and the Vendikarians.
Yeah, they're doing it voluntarily.
Yeah.
They still have control of their minds, but they're allowing themselves to be manipulated by the numbers crunching and the mathematics that's being generated by the machine. We do know that, according to David Gerald, the computer tallies of the war in this episode was a statement about Vietnam War deaths that began to be registered on nightly newscasts in 1967. And we get to see how this war is being waged in the computer room, where you can see the action of the war displayed as flares on the map. Even though there's supposed to be an explosion in the city, Yamin Tamula cannot detect any evidence of Yeoman Tamula cannot detect any evidence of radiation or another type of attack. Maya says they use fusion bombs, but no radiation is being detected. It's quickly apparent there are no physical bombs being used. Not finding any evidence that there even is a war, Kirk thinks that there's some kind of game going on. But it's not. It's time to settle the dead. Who would have died had real bombs been used? It was a devastating attack today because the computer says 500,000 people have died. So now that number must report to die in various disintegration chambers. Anon 7 even recently lost his wife in the previous attack, but doesn't seem too disturbed by it.
Oh, he's like, I even lost my wife in the last attack. He does seem, I thought he, but again,
you think he was grim enough?
I think he was grim enough, but also I think he's resigned to the duty of the Eminarians.
I don't know. I feel like their pain, the pain that they associate with death, is diminished.
Well, I thought it was interesting how, for some reason, when they counter casualties, they're selective by the people and not the location. For example, if a bomb supposedly went off, everyone in that area would go off. But for some reason, the woman here is a casualty and nobody else is when the bomb went off at the same time.
Yeah, I thought that was weird too.
It's right, random.
So it's random numbers from the population, right? Rather than actual, like based on location of where a bomb supposedly went off. It seems like.
Yeah,
right.
No,
if there's a hypothetical
random within the city.
Yeah, if there's a hypothetical blast radius, it doesn't mean that everybody within that blast radius is dead. It just calculates a certain percentage of the people within based on the hypothetical destructive power of the hypothetical bomb that was hypothetically materialized above particular region.
Which makes some sense, because if you destroy everybody in a particular region, then all of the employees in that building would be killed, and then you'd have to repopulate that building, at least if it's random.
So it's like, okay, we need to have a war, but let's not mess anything up, right? Right. You don't wanna...
Well, like if you were to destroy a building, there would hypothetically be survivors, or if a bomb went off across town and it destroyed that building, hypothetically, then some people would die, but there would still be survivors, kind of thing, maybe.
Possibly, or wounded, a lot of wounded.
Mm-hmm.
So Franco Walker says, Mr. Brown, in space, no one can hear you steam. And Captain Infinity says their war started over weather to watch Picard season 3.
You mean a Meteor 7?
And
we're talking about a Meteor 7 and Picard, not those other guys.
Right. Their war started over Picard, right?
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Me neither. Sean Carter says, my only little gripe with this episode is that the two sides would need massive cooperation to agree to and implement the AI to run the war. I think that they did. By the time it was in place, I think they'd have chilled out. Well, no, that's what I was wondering. That's
what I was wondering, if their computers were in sync.
They are. They're connected by LAN or something.
So, there's a subspace link. I thought.
But the spoils of war is obvious. And hello to Kronos. Great to have you here.
Hello, Kronos.
And Kronos says, is this where the balloon is at the moment? They shot that down.
He stole my balloons.
Mr. Brownline says, why didn't they turn off the computer? Because turning off the computer would be a renege on the treaty, which would cause a real war. And they're afraid of the real war occurring. And Tony Stark says he was casually grim. Kronos says, anti-derivative Jill, is the disintegration machine tingly?
No one has survived to tell us.
Yeah, right? I don't know. That is a good question, though. Was this a way to control population? Well, it definitely had that effect, but it was more for the peace aspect between the
Well,
worlds.
and I'll say better to use a disintegration chamber than to genetically manipulate the population, like what's really happening. But oh well.
Yeah, there's lots of things that parallel
Lot,
real
lot
life
of
in this episode,
parallels.
and
Yes,
it is extremely disconcerting.
it is a lot of parallels.
But I don't know about genetic manipulation. Kronos says that Ferengi Damon was a slob.
A fat Ferengi.
Herc 130 says the whole idea is so disturbing. I guess that is the point. It is.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Stark says the destruction is inefficient, as the loss of life is real. For the numbers, actual fusion bombs would keep them from advancing. Yeah, it's true.
Mm-hmm. But I'm sorry.
If they were actually, well, that's why the war would end.
Yes. Because, what's the first, you take out munitions, you take out the ability to strike back at your enemy. But if that's off the table and you don't destroy any of the culture, it is just a matter of loss based on the population.
Right, because what usually ends wars is the both sides have had enough. There's been so much destruction. They say, look, we've had enough. And that's what creates a treaty. And because there's no destruction, that's why this war has been going on for 500 years.
Well, in conquest, if you can eliminate the enemy's ability to fight, then you just overtake their, like that would mean that there would be a Miniar 8? No. Is it a Miniar 7? A Miniar 3?
This planet is a Miniar 7 and the other planet is Vendikar. So also Spock says there's a certain scientific logic about it. And Anon says,
I'm glad you approve.
I do not approve. I understand.
Good.
And so now the crew of the Enterprise has found itself in the virtual crossfire, and the entire ship's complement must report to dive. Oh, Anon has a lot of dialogue here. Would you like to read it?
Yeah.
Here goes.
Anon says, once your ship was in orbit around our planet, it became a legitimate target. It has been classified destroyed by a tri-cobalt satellite explosion. All persons aboard your ship have 24 hours to report to our disintegration machines. In order to ensure their cooperation, I have ordered you, Captain, and your party held in custody while they surrender. If possible, we shall spare your ship, Captain, but its passengers and crew are already dead.
This, to me, explains exactly why these people have detached themselves from the reality of death. They think it's okay. Well, okay, I'm gonna. All your people have to die, but we'll let you have your ship. So everything's good.
Right? Yeah, a lot of good that does when it's empty, huh? And Anon, how come you never seem to get hurt?
Yes. Exactly.
Diplomatic immunity.
Right. That's a very good point, because the people in power have certain privileges.
Of course.
And are even more detached from
but conveniently his wife happened to be off. To remember, he does mention that. So somehow right. Somehow she happened to be in the firing line.
She was in the pool. Well, I mean, we don't know for sure he's not in the pool too. I don't really know. So Captain's log delayed. The Enterprise in orbit about Miniar 7 has been declared a casualty of an incredible war fought by computers. I and my landing party, though apparently not included as casualties aboard the Enterprise, are confined on the planet's surface, awaiting what? And so the crew is kept prisoner with Maya visiting, and Kirk is still trying to understand what this planet is going through. And Maya says, don't you see? If I refuse to report and others refuse, then Bendikar will have no choice but to launch real weapons. We would have to do the same to defend ourselves. More than people would die then. A whole civilization would be destroyed. Surely you can see that ours is the better way. And so clearly this is a reference to atomic war. But what were we going to say, Scotty?
I was just going to paraphrase Kirk, and no, I don't see that at all.
Oh, that wasn't a paraphrase. That was perfect.
That
was exactly his dialogue.
I wanted to mention that crewman DePaul is played by Sean Kinney, who portrayed the injured Captain Pike in Star Trek: The Menagerie Part 1 and 2.
Oh my lord! Oh really? Who
Yep.
is
Crewman DePaul.
DePaul? Oh right, we don't see him yet on the screen.
Not yet. He's on the bridge.
But that is a good point. Thank you.
And also the matte paintings. This is the last painting in the series in which live actors were inserted.
I think that was really a cool little touch.
Right. At least according to the original special effects. They may have enhanced them for future episodes. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out when we get there.
Mm-hmm. Imagine a world with no hypothetical situations, says Captain Kennedy. And Franco Walker says that the two plants are connected together via Bluetooth. That's pretty strong Bluetooth. I can't even walk halfway across my house before my Bluetooth goes out.
I think it's 50 feet. I could be wrong. The radius or the distance.
But this is a future.
Right. Right. This is red
Radius
tooth.
Yeah, this is a future with shoulder trousers and incredible Bluetooth.
Well, I mean, they can have radio signals and everything. I don't know. Sean Carter says, Canadian government taking notes on this episode. Life is cheap, says James Caserta.
I'm actually on the disintegration
That's-
booth team.
Oh, I'm going to ignore the ignoring. Euler Greg says, I'm hoping my genetic manipulation gives me superpowers like Spider-Man.
There you go.
Gorilla's Random Thought says, you think if they could cooperate enough for a shitty treaty like that and link their systems, they could come up with a peace treaty, right? But they don't.
That's what I meant. The reason why there's no peace treaty because they don't actually see any destruction. If they saw destruction, they would come up with a treaty. That's kind of what Kirk was talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's painless, just shoving people, cattling them, like chattel into these booths. And hello to Cardinal Sin.
Hey, Cardinal Sin.
Hail to the panel.
Ahoy.
And lots of hellos. This is really cool chat. Kronos, it's dangerous to say hi to me, says James Caserta. Hi, James Caserta.
Hey, James Caserta. Living dangerously.
And Cardinal Sin says they use the exact same plot on Doctor Who.
Simpsons did it.
Right? Euler Greg says they probably want the Enterprise for themselves. Well,
Or
no,
they could
don't
autopilot back or send it somewhere. Your ship may be spared.
Yeah, they don't even leave their solar system, so they probably were going to give the ship back to Kirk after they murdered all of everybody. James Caserta says being a putty tat is a constant hazard. And yes, I agree. Scott is great in this episode. I want to get to Scott.
He's
Mega
fantastic. It's the first time in a long time I've heard the phrase Poppin' Jay. In fact, the last time I heard Poppin' Jay, I think it was in this episode the last time.
I love any excuse to say Poppin' Jay.
Yay!
Mega Carper says the OG Trek has the most attractive women. STD will lower your testosterone.
I'm assuming you're referring to Mike's show and not necessarily sexually transmitted diseases.
Yes, that's exactly what he means.
Right,
they're pretty much the same thing.
Yes.
In STD, the only people with testosterone are the women.
And Cardinal Sen says it's actually a depiction of the neutron bomb.
I'm so happy doing the neutron day.
Well, one of those entirely, completely, utterly destructive weapons.
Oh, it's our co-host, the mandolin.
Ray Cropper says controlled opposition is where the money is.
And I wanted to explain here, Barbara Babcock here, who you're showing, who plays Mia 3, right? Who plays Mia 3, played Philana in Star Trek's Plato's Stepchildren. Her voice was used for Trelane's mother in Star Trek: The Squire of Gothos, the Beta 5 computer, and Isis the cat in Assignment Earth. Loskeen in Star Trek: The Tholian Web, and the Zetarians in The Lights of Zetar.
Well, the only one so far that we've seen, the only one that we've seen though so far is Trelane, the episode.
Yep, and she was the mother, the voice of the mother, so now we know.
She's Trelane's mommy. Whee! That's great. So she claims her life is important to her, but this planet has been locked in this endless cycle of murder's complacency. They're totally numb to their self-annihilation, even though she claims her life is very important to her. So yeah. This must be why no one really worries about coming up with new names for anyone for several generations. Mia 1 and 2 are dead. Now we have Mia 3 and Anon 7.
Right. It's better than Jim Bob and John Boy, right?
Well, Jim Bob 1 and John Boy 7.
Right.
Why come up with so many names for people who are just going to probably die anyway?
Right. Just give them numbers, right? That's all they are anyway, is a number, right?
Exactly. They only have any name at all just for record keeping.
Is Steve here? Which Steve? Do you want Steve 4 or Steve 8? Steve 8. Oh, I'm Steve 6.
Oh, yeah, there's that song that Raquel likes to sing. She says it's a Canadian song.
I don't know what you're referring to.
Yeah, she said, well, I'm not going to sing it.
Okay.
Back on the ship, Anon 7 is posing with Captain Kirk's voice, trying to convince Scotty to send down the entire ship's complement.
Yeah.
For shore leave. It's okay. Come down for shore leave. It's going to be fun.
That's an order. Well, he even says that's an order, which makes Scotty wonder.
Yeah, Kirk would never order everyone down because, a skeleton crew needs to at least stay up there.
Yeah.
And plus have some of the planet members come up and help run the ship. It's like, no, I don't think so.
Hey, Scotty.
He said he was going to beam a team up of his men of the those people up there to help run the ship. It's like, no, I don't think so. I don't think Scotty's going to go for that.
Yeah, exactly. Scotty knows something's wrong. So this is a great combination of his engineering and command brilliance together to check the validity of the voice with the computer. And of course, then now he knows the crew's in danger. And Kirk decides they need to get weapons and then find their communicators. So Spock uses his Vulcanian telepathic abilities. Spock goes to the door, working his way across it, and the guard starts to blink and shake his head. And
he feels the control of Spock.
Yes, it's like he's doing a mind meld behind the wall, through the wall. Slowly, the guard opens the door and is taken out.
Yeah, judo chop.
At the junction, they watch as oh wait.
I love that chair, obviously right out of the 60s.
All right. Okay. So yeah, there's this man comforting this woman who goes in, and she's taken out, and then he goes in and he's taken out.
That same man and woman will appear later back on standing in the corridor. And I have a production note. This episode was assigned to be filmed as production number 23 and Space Seed as number 24. However, as problems arose with the script, which had to be solved by further rewriting by Gene Kuhn, the staff switched productions with Star Trek Space Seed, whose script was in a shootable condition. This resulted in Space Seed being filmed first, before this one. However, the switch was so quick, they never bothered to change the production numbers. Therefore, it was believed for decades that this episode was filmed first. But the clapperboard images from both episodes also confirmed that Space Seed was the first to be filmed.
Oh, wow.
So, I have a question. As a person who is on a show that is watching this in production order, why would you wait until the middle of this show to tell us?
Because officially,
Does it make a difference?
This is first in production order.
Until decades later, yes, you're right.
Right, I'm not going to tell Jill at the beginning of this. Oh, Jill, let's not do this, right? Because
right. You got to change everything. No, because in the production order list, this one comes first, and it was written and conceived first, and only it turns out that Space Seed was filmed first because it was easier to come up with, I guess, easier to start first.
Right, the script was ready first.
I am participating in a den of lies.
Well, so then everybody's lying then. If they would have told the truth, then this would have been the first episode that would have matched it would have been the production order, and the broadcast order would have matched.
I am happy to watch the 1-2 punch of this one and then followed by Space Seed.
So Space Seed is next week, is that right, Jill?
Yes, that's right.
Perfect. Okay.
Space Seed is next week. But I don't want to get too distracted with Space Seed.
Oh, no, not yet.
I love that. I love that episode. So where are we here? We've got lots of wonderful people here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Euler Greg is saying Olive excellent. Olive Scotty's excellent lines here. This is here. General order to exterminate the entire planet. Yes, that's General Order 24. Herc 130 says I'm very well, but at work people keep interrupting me. Yeah, you are too important to be interrupted. Herc 130. What are they thinking? Euler Greg says they wanted the Enterprise sending trained people to run the ship. Who trained them? Were they planning this for years?
Exactly right. That's, I think, one of the red flags. And I want to mention that David Apatashu, who plays Anon 7, was considered by Gene Roddenberry for the role of Dr. Boyce in Star Trek The Cage. So he was considered for the original Doctor of the Enterprise.
Oh, the original Dr. Boyce.
Yes, who was played by John Hoyt.
Oh, okay, cool. Mega Cropper asks, do flat earthers watch Star Trek for the fiction? So I went to the Star Trek convention and I went to the after dinner party and I met a flat earther Star Trek fan. There is at least one.
And you found that one.
I was like, what is happening? Okay, James Caserta says Braga has officially turned into Rick Berman. Who knew? I'd take either of those guys right now. Euler Greg says Space Seed is a requirement to watch before Wrath of Khan. Absolutely.
I've never seen either.
I knew it. Just mentioning Space Seed gets us distracted. A+. Too soon for Space Seed, says Herc 130. Yeah, but it's okay. I agree. Captain Kirk shows his passion for ending this war early. He is not going to allow Maya to disintegrate herself.
Maya, what are you doing? What do you think you're doing?
Then Spock walks nonchalantly up to the card.
Yeah, I noticed there's a lot of convenience in this episode that none of the guards are combative towards the Enterprise crew. The Enterprise crew
Because they're not
walk
used
around.
to receiving any kind of defiance. They're not
Right,
used-
or a threat. You think that Anon 7 would at least announce it or put them on guard? I don't know.
Well, yeah, probably. Well, does he know to be on guard? Or does he just think, oh, hey, this is life. You just report to
Right.
die. It is your
Everything
duty.
Yeah.
If you are a civilized person that we allow on our planet, you will step into the disintegration chamber because it is the polite thing to do.
And it's their duty, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like in Demolition Man. It's like, we're police officers. We're not trained to deal with this level of violence. Like, it's
Yes.
just, it's a population that wouldn't rebel. And occasionally, you'd get a runner, but not often.
Yeah, so for me, it makes sense.
The death of the
sense.
individual is to maintain the peace so that less people will die, essentially.
Yes.
And
Spock
the punishment would for running away would be death.
Right. And so you don't expect anybody to break any of the rules or trip on the flowers.
Yes, exactly.
Spock says, "Sir, there's a multi-legged creature crawling on your shoulder." And he neck pinches him, and the rest just stare. And so now they have two weapons. And Spock rejoins Kirk.
And I like the sonic disruptors. No beams, which I was bothered by as a kid, but I do enjoy them. As I've grown older, I've appreciated them.
And those are the same ones that will be later used by the Klingons.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I used as my thumbnail. But yeah, the disruptors. The Klingons use disruptors. But they're the same kind of disruptors.
They're modified slightly.
Okay. Oh, the book says something here. The famous Spock nerve pinch, FSNP, as it was referred to in scripts for Star Trek, originated very early in the show's first season, in The Enemy Within. Spock was to knock out Evil Kirk with a karate chop, but after Leonard Nimoy felt that it was out of character for Spock, he suggested to the director that the Vulcan, who knew something of human anatomy, would realize that if he applied pressure to the nerve complex at the base of the neck, he could render someone unconscious instantly and non-violently. As with his mind meld technique, Nimoy's FSNP would get better and the more his character practiced it. Although Spock often applied the pinch from behind his victim, as in The Enemy Within and Tomorrow is Yesterday, the writers began giving him lines that allowed him to walk right up to the intended and apply the FSNP, as he does here, telling the gullible guard that there is a multi-legged creature crawling on your shoulder, and then reaching forward as if to helpfully brush the creature away.
Right, and we'll see this reference again in City on the Edge of Forever.
Cool. Hey, and people are saying hi to Scotty Crumbs.
Hey, Kronos.
I don't even know. I'm out of order in these chats. I need to mark these.
You're out of order. I'm out of order. This whole court is out of order.
Wow, she was busy on Star Trek. Yeah, the Babcock. Yeah.
Babs. I'm Steve 13. Oh, yeah, fair enough. Good work,
With
Kronos.
the red shirt, even. Okay. And Euler Greg suspects Klingon involvement.
You never know.
Yeah, supplying the weaponry.
Ooh, that's an interesting theory. James Caserta says, "Don't they know who you'll be in the future?" What? Oh, okay, that's where I was. The flat earthers. At least one Star Trek fan is a flat earther. And hello to the Comic Relief Crusader.
Hey, Comic Relief.
He'll be having a stream later on to Lazy Tuesdays.
Good to see you.
Wow.
And Franco Walker says, "I would not expect Flefa to watch Star Trek." Flurfa.
Flurfa?
Flat Earthers probably, but I don't know. Herc 130 says, "Yes, Jill needs to make a grade above A+ for space."
Oh, guys, reel it in.
That's what we said about Arena.
I know. Mega Cropper says, "Can you ban pop culture curator for the Babylon, the B7 review cardinal?" What? He's not banned. What the heck?
I don't understand what's going on.
No, there's not even a Blake 7 review. That was canceled. And I don't know what's going on either. Mega Cropper likes to stir things up. He's having fun. He's having fun. Kronos says, "Wow, Demolition Man is becoming more like reality."
True.
And Spock be Vulcanian a lot in this episode.
Every day I'm Vulcan and
Oh, that's what he's saying. Thank you. I couldn't read that properly.
pinchy.
Cardinal Sin says, "Why is everyone wearing differently colored Folgers coffee cans?" on their
Because they're
heads?
mountain grown. That's the answer.
We were wearing the coffee cans on our head, which was fashionable at the time.
Scotty Doo.
Scotty does.
Okay. Well, Anyway. Where am I?
Well, there was a multi-legged creature crawling on that that guard's neck.
So my guess here, I don't really know for sure, but Kirk might have left this planet to its devices, but they have forced his hand. They have called for the death of all of his crew. And so the only way to stop them is to stop the war. And so this is Kirk's beginning of this process. He destroys the first disintegration booth.
Walk, 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 walk. Pow.
Perfectly timed. Thank you for that sound effect. Eminiar 7 takes this as a threat because without the proper number of disintegration booths, they can't kill the right amount of people to reconcile their war with Vendikar.
I want to mention another production note. David Apatoshi, who played Anon 7, sitting there, as you guys see in the center of your screen, was sitting at a table just like that in the Twilight Zone episode Valley of the Shadow, which also starred James Doohan.
Do it.
And it's set in a hidden town which contained force fields or shields, a molecular disassembly or reassembly, a transporter, and matter replicators featured replicating a food item, which had become very common elements of the Star Trek universe. So that's a very good episode.
Wait, which
I'm
episode
sure
had
Bird
a
of Prey,
replicator?
Valley of the Shadow, and a transporter and shields. Bird of Prey covered it on his channel. And David Apatashu playing Anon 7 was also the leader of that community or town.
What series?
Twilight Zone, the original.
Oh, the Twilight Zone. Oh, cool.
Yep.
Okay, I didn't know the replicator was on the Twilight Zone. I love the Twilight Zone, but I've never watched it from start to finish.
Yep.
So I missed a few episodes.
And it's the only episode that has Scotty in it.
Mm-hmm. Neat. And Anon 7. Cool.
Anon 7, yes.
Thank you.
You think Anon is supposed to be short for anonymous?
Oh, interesting.
The way everyone's numbered? I don't know.
Could be. It's spelled with an A, but it could be. So now the landing party are being hunted to the death if necessary. And it's time for a Meteor 7 to also attack the Enterprise with the larger version of their sonic disruptors. And even though this is his second time in a row in command, this is Scotty's first log. He reports while in command. Ship's log, Stardate 3193.0, Chief Engineer Scott recording. The captain and first officer are overdue and missing on the surface of Meteor 7. I have taken standard precautionary measures while we continue our attempts to locate them. And so there's Lieutenant DePaul. He's back at the helm, very cute, without all of his Captain Pike wheelchair makeup.
Yep, that's him.
And Scotty is great in command. As many have already said in the chat, I agree completely. DePaul reports that the planet is attacking with powerful sonic vibrations, and it's pretty clear that these vibration disruptors are powerful enough to hurt the Enterprise if the screens are down, but pretty much don't seem to be doing much with the screens up. This shows that we have a deadly protagonist that is nonetheless not very powerful compared to the Enterprise. So they still have the capabilities of deceit on their side. And I just think it's fun to have an enemy who has tools that against you that aren't just sheer power.
Well, what's interesting too is according to this episode, there's sonic weapons. So sonic travels through space. I don't know.
Well, sonic disruptor, and so I guess the disruptor would be the active component of that. I'm not sure. It's a good question.
Well, you know how usually when the Enterprise is under attack, it's rocking left and right, and he gets impacted and all this other stuff. But supposedly in this episode, when they're under attack, nothing's really happening. Oh, and they claim that it's a sonic weapon of some sort.
That makes sense. I don't know. I don't know the details of this mechanics. It can't be.
I know people are, I know people poke fun at ST, whatever it is for sonar in space, but sonic in space really doesn't make much sense either, in my opinion, but I could be wrong.
You could be right.
And I'm going to mention in his memoir, Beam Me Up, Scotty, James Doohan described Gene Lyons, Ambassador Robert Fox, pictured center there, as being out of his element and completely discombobulated during filming. He added that it took Lyons many takes to get his lines right, and they finally went to just having him speak off screen. Doohan speculates that Lyons, who was an experienced actor, may have been thrown off by the science fiction element, as such shows were relatively rare at the time.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, I thought they put makeup under his eyes to give him extra baggage, but I guess not. I guess that's really the actor.
Oh, that's really how.
Sorry. But I thought maybe he hadn't had enough sleep or something.
I'm checking something real quick. Can you guys talk for a second?
Go for it.
It's pronounced doing. just in terms of the man's name. I don't mean any disrespect, but
Dylan?
just yes. And
Well,
it's
you
a great
said-
book. If you've read it, does do a recounting of his time in the military and his friendship with Gene Roddenberry. If you do have an opportunity to check out the book, Beam Me Up, Scotty, I would highly recommend it. And he does have such a loving perspective on the fandom and the beginnings of the convention circuit as well. And other things happen as well, such as having McCoy having the ear of the captain, which is fantastic. I think that that's something. And I really like the dynamic between Bones and Scotty in terms of that. Like even in terms of the respect that Scotty shows with command. It's like, well, what would you have me do? Open fire? And McCoy's like, no, of course not. Of course not. And so he's like, all right, well, we got to follow this. And then the Popinjay, Fox shows up, and the butting of heads between Fox and Scotty is superb. And the only thing that I have a complaint when it comes to DePaul is I thought DePaul was played. I guess there are two DePauls, the brothers DePaul, because I thought DePaul was played by a different actor in Squire of Gothos.
I think so, and you could be right. I don't know if there's supposed to be more than one or it's just a different act. I don't think they thought about it. I think it's just a different actor.
It's DePaul
and
5.
I wanted to add, DePaul 5. I wanted to add that Scotty's refusal to lower the shields against orders
Oh, we're not
is
there.
based on an actual story from
Yeah,
his-
it is. Oh.
Scotty's refusal to lower the shields against orders is based on an actual story from James Dillon's military service. As a lieutenant in the Royal Canadian
it is.
Artillery, he was threatened with court-martial for saying, "No, sir, I will not," to a visiting colonel when he realized a training
Yeah.
exercise order would entail blowing the heads off some of his own men. Fortunately, his immediate superiors backed him up, and like his fictional character, he was eventually promoted to captain.
Yes, and that's fantastic. I love that story. And DePaul reports the planet is attacking. Whether or not sonic booms can occur in space is a question, but that's what's happening. But it doesn't really bother the ship as long as the screens are up. And this is also likely because they didn't believe they actually needed to construct any of those fusion bombs, because they just needed to mathematically conceive them to have their little genocide.
Well, it's interesting because you think they would use one of those satellites that Anon 7 mentioned that did take. He said took out the Enterprise. It seemed like they would use one of those, but I don't know.
The satellites?
Cobalt satellite or whatever they said.
Oh, right. Well, but I thought that was just, I thought he was just talking out of his ass, and that everybody is supposed to just report for death in the disintegration chamber, and that is the method of destruction, the real method of destruction. The cobalt thing is just talk. This is just for the record keeping.
Yeah, it's
Right.
just hypothetical. But
Yeah,
I
just
did
for
want
the
to.
game.
I did want to reference James Caserta. I was incorrect. I stand corrected. It was DeSalle before, and now it's DePaul. So, yeah. Thank you, James Caserta, for putting me in my place where it is most
DeSalle.
comfy.
DeSalle, DePaul, DeLovely.
This is DePaul.
Exactly. DePaul?
DePaul.
DePaul. The Bears.
And Scotty considers retaliation, but Ambassador Fox refuses to allow this. He thinks it's just misunderstanding that he, as a diplomat, is qualified to clear up. But I like Scotty's response once Fox leaves. Diplomats. The best diplomat I know is a fully activated phaser bank.
A throw rug.
And so, before we get back here, I got some chats. Where was I?
Seems that the entire Eminarian fashion is based on things being held up by shoulders.
Well, I'm surprised the men aren't wearing suspenders.
Fair enough.
Kaboom! Says Yam Jess.
All right, and by the way, when Kirk leaves and tells the yeoman to keep an eye on Mia 3, she's not mentioned again for the rest of the episode.
Well, yeah, that's right. But that's fun though. That's one of my favorite scenes. Herc 130 says, "To the last, I will grapple with thee. From hell's heart, I stab at thee." Well, obviously, I'm not delivering that correctly. For hate's sake, Space Seed is the best episode.
We'll have to wait till next week when I explain my apology.
Yeah, and I'll work on my con. I'll do better. Kronos says, "I lost my sanity years ago, so it doesn't really matter." And Carlson says, "Question for the panel: If Captain Kirk, Mr. Scott, Mr. Spock, and Scotty are on the away team, who is in command of the bridge?" According to the Bible, the show Bible, Uhura, according to what they really did on the show, probably Sulu.
Or Scotty, but Scotty's not on the away team in this episode. But right when he is, it's usually her or Sulu, right?
Yes.
And I have a question.
Also, landing party in the original series, away team in the Next Generation.
I have a question because I'm not familiar, so I need to ask you guys, the experts. In the movie Star Trek Generations, though not heard on screen, the name of the Lakul's counterpart was the SS Robert Fox, named for Ambassador Robert Fox from this episode. Are you guys familiar with that?
I was familiar with it before, yes, as being a reference. But again, as you mentioned, it was never said on screen. So it is one of those things that is either in a draft or a description. It could have been in the novelization when I read it, but I haven't read the novelization of Star Trek Generations since the movie came out.
Yeah,
Robert?
I was wondering.
Are you
so
talking about Picard's brother?
Well, I was wondering.
No, Robert.
It says Lakul's counterpart was the SS Robert Fox. So did they show it on screen? Do you know?
Oh yeah, there were two ships. One is destroyed. And then the Lakul is still there.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't in the movie.
They never named the ship.
Oh, James Caserta. He says his sanity was hiding in the couch cushion seat. In the last place you look.
Amongst all the coins. And also, while Scotty was established as third in command in Return of the Archons, this is the first on-camera time that Kirk formally turns the ship over to him. It also establishes that McCoy is not an officer of the line. So McCoy's an officer, but he's not one that would be taking command of the ship, in other words.
Right. Well, yeah, that makes sense. He needs to always be on call. He's a doctor.
Yep.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Scotty, please.
Well, and I just in reference to further iterations, that is something that happens with Beverly as well in I think the 6th or 7th season, when Troy and Crusher are talking about how Beverly decided to take the command courses so that she could get some time in on the bridge. So she does sort of achieve a rank that would allow her to do so.
Well, that makes more sense for Beverly because there are several doctors on the ship. She's not the only one.
That's true. Well, in Dr. Mbenga, although we haven't seen him yet, I am assuming he would still be kicking around.
Oh, yeah, we haven't seen him. So he's in the lower deck somewhere. The Comic Relief Crusader says the funny thing is sound does travel through space, just travels very slowly. See, and that's what I was away for a little bit, because I started this research on sonic booms in space, and it's like kind of complicated, so I decided to give up. If we had come up with this question before, I would have done more research for you.
Well, from what I was reading, it may be possible.
I think pop culture's right.
Well, from what I was reading, it may be possible, but it would take so much power that. In fact, one quote I read said that it's more powerful than in the universe to get sound to travel through space. So they said it's possible, but it'd take a lot of power.
Yeah, well,
I don't know if that's true or not.
In terms of the technology, I would assume that the operative transmission of the sonic power would be the disruptor. So it's not a sonic beam, but a sonic disruptor, and whatever that technology looks like or happens to be.
Well, I need more information on how to make a disruptor.
You and me both, sister.
We better order one and take it apart, huh?
Yes, please.
No, I'll just order it and have it.
I'll just order one from Bird of Prey 5.
There you go.
Does anybody know if have they ever sold the disruptor like they have, like the phasers and stuff? Does anybody know? I don't know.
Yes.
Does it have the sound when you pull the trigger?
Yes, it's battery powered. It's the same time, like in the heyday of the early '90s of the Playmates toys. They
Right.
made motion picture phasers. They made Star Trek II phasers. They made Klingon disruptors. They made classic disruptors. They
Gotcha. Yeah,
everything.
'cause I had the phaser, and then I had the phaser from the cage, but I didn't know they made the disruptors.
I'll look it up on their eBay.
Yeah. And I'm not there in the chat yet, but I generally agree with Cardinal Sin. Sound requires an atmosphere or liquid like ocean to propagate, and sound cannot travel through space when it's a complete vacuum, since space is not entirely 100% vacuum. Just like Pop Culture Curator said, it can travel very, very slowly. In this case, this weapon probably wouldn't work.
Oh, and in just a little bit of cursory Googling or Binging, depending on your preferred search engine, it looks like they only had the movie versions of the Klingon disruptors and not the classics. But that is just with a single click.
That's sad. I would love to have one
Oh,
with the sound.
you could probably,
And
I
Matt
think-
G tipped
Right,
the
you-
dollar. Thank you, Matt G.
hey, Matt G.
You think somebody now with all the with 3D printers and everything, people can manufacture them?
They probably could. It's probably available somewhere.
I'm sure it is probably Etsy or whatever those sites. I think it's called Etsy where people sell stuff.
Oh, I don't go on the internet.
Captain Infinity says I use DuckDuckGo myself.
Ooh,
I do too.
I do too.
So the Comic Relief Crusader says Franco Walker. There are, however, the particles are so far apart that when one particle vibrates, it takes time for the sound waves to hit another particle for it to travel more. Yeah. James Caserta said he did all the great alien voices too.
Mm-hmm.
Who did?
James Doohan.
Oh, James
Doohan?
Doohan. Yeah,
Right,
in the
Doohan.
animated series.
Oh yeah, he is all over the animated series doing those voices.
Yeah, he invented the Klingon language, although a linguist did take it to make it into a real language.
Oh, no.
The Comic Relief Crusader says, I took astronomy and astrophysics. The false info was only believed by Hollywood and faulty information.
Oh, we got an expert here. Nice.
Yeah. Snail Messiah. Hello, Snail Messiah.
Hello
She
there.
said, as my uncle always told me when I was a kid, it's amazing how right you are when holding a baseball bat. Oh, yeah, that's this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Well, and I like how we're discussing the nature of the abilities of a sonic disruptor when we've just completely been like, no, disintegration booth for sure. Yeah, we have those now. I need more disintegration booth technology information. What do they do? Is it fire?
We kind of just accept the decision.
Yeah, exactly. So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. There's a sonic disruptor.
Sean Carter says the sonic disruptors could easily be nerd-splained away, i.e. Enterprise is at the top of the atmosphere, or the disruptor beam is just a beam until it encounters something with an atmosphere.
I like that, Sean.
Wow.
Interesting.
You're quite intelligent, Sean Carter.
I'm picking up what you're throwing down.
And Captain Infinity says, I got my Star Trek TOS replica blaster yesterday.
It's a phaser.
Blaster? Phaser?
I know, right?
Blaster?
Like, what's a blaster? It would be a phaser, right? Like, I don't know. I just read what he said. Maybe it's labeled blaster, in which case I need to see this. Sean Carter says, like a laser beam can travel through a vacuum and then disturb an atmosphere when it encounters it.
Cool. Yeah,
Very cool.
I'm with that.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I like it too. That is nerd-splaining. I love it. James Caserta says, Dune does M5's computer voice too.
Why?
Okay, I'm going to go away and look at the episode. Kirk leads the party to their former prison to regroup since he knows they won't look for them there where they've escaped from, which is pretty clever. Meanwhile, Spock and the others have gathered 4 weapons and 2 Minier guard outfits for the red shirts to wear. More importantly, he finds a Minier communicator, but he has to work on it so that it could reach the Enterprise. And Kirk tries to get Maya to help. He says, Scotty.
Oh, is it in the private?
Now it is.
Wicked cool. Now listen to me. I'm trying to help you to save your life and the lives of millions like you. If you help me, maybe I can do it. If you don't, you'll die. We'll die. And the killing will go on. Or are you fond of the war?
And Anon proceeds to lie to Fox. So he's talking to Fox here, who buys it instantly and immediately orders the screens down. Of course, the
Eminiar.
Eminiarians they're lying. Whatever they are, they're lying. They're prepared to attack instantly the second that the screens are taken down. So this is the second time I'm clapping for Scotty, because this is great. This is wonderful stuff. Cheering for Scotty right here. He's such in command of the episode, and
well, and I appreciate that Scotty and Kirk basically have the same priorities. First things first, take care of the Enterprise.
You be Scott, I'll be Fox.
Oh, I okay. I'll not lower the screens, not until the captain tells me to.
You are taking orders from me. You will lower the screens as a sign of good faith. My authority.
I know about your authority, but the screens stay up.
And so when a character in Star Trek has to go against the orders of someone of a higher rank.
Yeah, Jill sounds like such a nice bad guy.
Oh, thank you. It better be for a great and intelligent reason. And so it is, because also the repercussions of disobeying this order is laid out that, with that Scotty will be in trouble when all this is over. And Scotty accepts that possibility. And so this is in the Bible, that any conflict must be based on sound reason and not emotion. And if it wasn't clear what this reason is, Bones reminds us. He says, Mr. Fox, they begged a message from the captain. They've launched an attack against our ship. Now you want us to trust them openly? I want you and expect you to obey my lawful orders. And Scott says,
No, sir. I won't lower the screens. I apologize to every Scottish person in the audience, but I am a Canadian doing a Scottish accent, so I'm kind of doing-ish.
You're doing great.
Thanks.
And Fox says, your refusal to comply with my orders has endangered the entire success of this mission. I can have you sent to a penal colony for this.
Aye.
And so this is a thrilling moment for Scotty. And not only that, but also for James Doohan, because exactly like Pop Culture Curator said, Scotty's refusal to lower the shields was based on an actual story for James Doohan's military service as a lieutenant in the Royal Canadian Artillery. And yeah, he was threatened with court-martial for not doing a training exercise that would blow off his own men's heads. So, but luckily his immediate superiors backed him up, and so it's great. I just love it, and that makes sense because he commands this scene so well. If obviously everybody here's seen it, but if you haven't, go see it.
Yeah, this is one of the great Scotty episodes.
Agreed. And here's a compelling scene where Anon calls Kirk a barbarian. I guess it's after we get through this.
It is after. Yes.
There it is. That's the moment.
The screens stay up. Speaking of fashion sense in the 23rd century.
But this is the scene where Anon calls Kirk a barbarian, which is usually a common trope in Star Trek is for the antagonist to call the crew primitive. But here, Anon doesn't do that exactly. He places himself and Kirk on more of an equal ground, saying, "All right, hold on,
Will do. Standing by."
I gotta copy and paste.
Are these Tranya glasses? Anyway. Am I being a non?
Yes.
Okay. And you're going to be Kirk? You're going to do a Shatner?
I can't, but I will read it.
Okay. All right. All right. Don't sound so incredulous, Captain. Of course you are. We all are. A killer first, a builder second, a hunter, a warrior, and let's be honest, a murderer. That's our joint heritage, is it not?
We're less cold-blooded about it than you are.
That was good. That's a good Shatner.
I have a question. From what I'm reading, it says Anon 7's sash seems to be the same material as the Klingon vest. Do you guys agree?
Textiles in Star Trek. I would refer to William Ware Tice.
It says similarly, Ambassador Fox's aide appears to be wearing the suit later worn by Arn Darvin in The Trouble with Tribbles.
Oh, cool. Can't wait to get to that one. That one's so fun. That's how you do it. Star Trek comedy. Oh,
And that communicator, by the way, you know that communicator that Spock modified? It is later used as a Klingon item. It becomes a Klingon communicator in Errand of Mercy and Adlan of Troy.
Oh, that's so neat. Thank you. So Franco Walker says, I imagine this disintegration booth is like a one-way transporter. Oh, that's an idea. I like it. Mega Copper says, should have done an unboxing, Captain. For the Star Trek phaser blaster. Snail Messiah says, converting the energy of 1,100 decibels to mass yields 1.113 times 1080 kilograms, meaning that the radius of the resulting black hole's event horizon would exceed the diameter of the known universe. Wow. Incredible mathematics.
I'm impressed with the research. Yeah.
A+. Captain Infinity says, I consider transporters to be self-deletion booths. Oh, well, I don't exactly, but...
Well, if my grandmother had wheels, she'd be a wagon.
But I respect your analysis of the functionality of the transporter. Taking somebody apart, putting them back together, they're no longer the same person to Captain Infinity. Unboxing, not with the bondage rope that arrived the same day. What? Okay, the Comic Relief Crusader says, yeah, like the suicide booth in Futurama. Oh, and Snow Messiah says, so that the wave can be converted into sound is gravitational waves. They're slight, but can be heard with the right equipment. Interesting. And Mega Copper says, all them e-girls could be paying him royalties. What? What are you talking about? Okay.
Probably something about the satin sash.
Oh, Cardinal should have had in the unboxing. I don't know. Oh, hail, Rod Thunderheart.
Hey, Rod.
He says, hail, anti-derivative Jill, pop culture curator, and Scotty.
Ahoy.
And my forthcoming Cthulhu-themed filled script.
Zoidberg, the musical.
Sean Carter says, to Cardinal Sin, a microwave light also can travel through a vacuum. One that is powerful enough could go through a vacuum and then disrupt what it hits, like a microwave oven in sci-fi land. And half sound does not travel at all in space, says Cardinal Sin. The vacuum of outer space has zero air. Because sound is just vibrating air, space has no air to vibrate and therefore no sound.
So the concert that I'm going to on the moon next month is going to suck.
Yeah. From Dr. Christopher S. Baird. And so Sean Carter says, true, Cardinal Sin, but there are enough analogies, I think, to nerd-explain it. It could be that the sonic disruptors don't emit sound, but cause sonic disturbances when they encounter something. And Snow Messiah says to Cardinal Sin, it just needs the right atoms to bounce against. So far, all sites right that deep space does not contain these, but some areas in space does. And Captain Infinity says, newsflash, FTL travel is impossible, and Star Trek ain't subject to the laws of physics.
What?
Branko Walker says, if that implies to half sound, then turn it up to 11. Oh, wait a minute.
Please go to 11. It's just louder.
It's all real.
Oh my God, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Space has very low density and pressure and is the closest physical approximation of a perfect vacuum. But no vacuum is truly perfect. Yes, that was something I said earlier, that even space is not a perfect vacuum.
Whoever wrote this episode should die!
But no, this episode is wonderful.
No, it's all factually incorrect. I cannot accept any of this. This art has no truth.
Oh, Scotty. Not even interstellar space, where there are still a few hydrogen atoms per cubic meter. That's right. And there are some designs of spaceships, real life spaceships that are not built, that take the concept of collecting those hydrogen atoms to fuel the spaceship somehow. But that's something you'd learn from watching Cosmos by Carl Sagan. Sean Carter says, Franco is right. You just turned it to 11. Love it.
Agreed.
And Snow Messiah says, talking nerdy doesn't ruin Star Trek at all. It enhances it. I learn a lot when people talk nerdy things in the chat. Me too.
Absolutely.
I appreciate every nerdy comment.
Yep, I agree too.
I gravitate more to the characters and the interactions, but absolutely, this has inspired so many people in terms of scientific endeavors, engineering, and military service. Like across the board, this is something that everybody can take something away from. So to mock it is like, I'm just playfully jibing at it because it's fun to do, and because I know that so many people take so much joy from the technical aspects of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, you're right. I didn't, but it just reiterated something you said before, which is I did read. And James Caserta says, Jill, kill, Phil, Hill, Will. Okay, but don't go to restaurants or concerts on the moon. No atmosphere.
I know, it's very drab.
Okay, so let's go here. And actually, this episode has dialogue that speaks for itself. Kirk says, I'm not interested in discussing our differences. You don't seem to realize the risk you're taking. We don't make war with computers and herd the casualties into suicide stations. We make the real thing, Councilman. I could destroy this planet. And Kirk goes off to find the communicators. And gestures Anon to leave in front of him. Oh, I guess also Anon is pressing some secret buttons over here.
Yes, he's summoning the gods.
The gods. And he pushes him, and Kirk tackles the second guard, but they end up knocking Kirk out. And Kirk is half dragged away to the council room. Fox and his aide beam down to exactly the same place.
It seems to be a common materialization site.
Mm-hmm. As the original landing party. Oh yeah, right. This is the place where you beam down when you beam down on a mini R7. You know exactly where you land. You ever wanted to check up on them, see how they're doing?
Like if it rains, does his collar fill up with water?
Yes.
Okay, good answer.
And then Fox is finally dispelled and learns the truth that he is there only as a casualty of the computer-driven war and must now report to die. This is what he gets for not listening to this guy. The two security guards are in Emenian uniform and there they are. All right. Right. Makes sense.
I should have gotten a video clip, but in the previous scene when Kirk fights with the guards outside Anon's cabin, the sheetrock wall of the set is damaged in several places during the scuffle.
Oh, it is.
Let's see if I can
see it. Sheetrock. It's damaged.
Right, I should have caught a video clip. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. You notice the most amazing things, and I appreciate it. I just like this statue.
I like the pants.
Mhm. So Spock gets the Amenion communicator to work. Eventually. Yeah, so he does after this. Right. To call Scotty to tell them don't let anyone beam down. But that Pop and J Fox already went down. I mean, and I didn't just, this wasn't just an excuse to say Pop and J, but it's also because since Scotty refused to lower the screens, this is an instance where someone is beaming down through the screens.
Well, right. Well, did it? Go ahead. Well, I was going to say the Enterprise's shields are up, and Scotty refused to lower them because he fears an attack. Ambassador Fox insists that he be beamed down, and again, Scotty refuses to lower the shields in order to do so. However, in the next scene, Ambassador Fox is somehow beamed to the surface, and Scotty doesn't lower the shields until later.
Right.
Well, and what'll really bake your noodle is that he says he can't even fire the phasers because the screens are up, and it's like, so you can't have a battle while the screens
Yeah, I
are
know.
up?
He said that too. I was wondering when I heard that. I was like, huh? Okay.
That doesn't make sense. But he says he can use the photon torpedoes.
Right.
Which
Right.
is fine.
Which got Fox's attention, huh?
And you'd think it would be the reverse of that, but then again, like we do have the benefit of the remasters and whatnot in terms of the phasers, because for a while the phasers were pew pew as opposed to beams, and then the torpedoes became the pew pew, and then you had the phaser beams. But I don't know if they had actually found their armament footing as of yet.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's fun to learn. It's fun to learn these things as we go along. It's still the first season.
Yeah.
So Spock says, "Find the ambassador and the captain, Yeoman Tamula. You stay here and prevent this young lady from immolating herself. Knock her down and sit on her.
Sit on her if
necessary.
you have to."
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the last time we see her.
This is a killing situation. Do what you must to protect yourself. Clear? Yes, sir.
And I think you're a better actress than Yeoman Tamula.
Thank you. I would have loved to do this scene. I would have killed to be in this episode. I want to be Yeoman Tamula, but I'm not. A guard is trying to force Spock inside when Spock and the two guards arrive. And of course, we know the two guards with Spock are actually Lieutenant Galloway and Osborne.
And that would be the screenshot that was on the front of the VHS.
Oh, it is. It's a great one. This was. I almost made this one my thumbnail, so it was between this one and Kirk, and I picked Kirk. But
and there's our boy Galloway kicking, and then there's Osborne. He gets to live. I don't know what happens to Jerry.
Yeah,
Fox's aide. I think he gets disrupted, but I don't know if he dies because he sort of stays sitting up.
When he's hit too, he's behind everybody, so it goes through everybody and hits him, I guess, or around everybody.
Mm-hmm. Or Eminarians are just horrible shots.
Or it's a homing disruptor.
Find the most or the least important person.
Right.
Give
them a stomachache. Pew pew.
Yes, Spock is confused at what Spock's doing, and Spock says, "Practicing a peculiar variety of diplomacy, sir." And he uses the disruptor to destroy the disintegration chamber. Thank you for the sound effects, Scotty.
Oh, my pleasure.
And this is the part where Fox realizes he's been an ass the whole time and finally helps. He's helping out. He's a good guy here. As soon as he beams down on the planet and learns the truth, he changes his tune and starts being a team player here. And
right. In modern television in Hollywood, Fox would definitely be killed because they always have to get their comeuppance when they're a jerk these days.
Yeah, that's what's
I-
great. Yes, because here he learns from his mistakes and he becomes a better person.
Yes, he
And-
joins them. Yes.
Well, that's an interesting perspective because I was thinking about that, and I appreciate it as we continue. Fox still does play a role in sort of the negotiation between Eminiar and Bendikar, and so I do appreciate that he doesn't necessarily he learns, but if it were modern to push that a little further, then yes, Fox would die, but then so would the Eminarians because
Yes.
they were responsible for the death of members of the Federation crew, thusly negating the entire point of the story. And so I don't even know if this story would be told today.
It wouldn't.
No,
You're right.
definitely not.
There would be a need for retribution as opposed to learning and growing. Which is
Yes.
weird to say because it's not like a hug and learn episode. It's more of a punch you in the face and learn.
And
Yes.
especially with the parallels of the population
Destroy-
control, I
almost
don't think
destroy
they'd
the-
allow this.
Well, okay.
You don't think that they would talk about
Population control. no, I
that
don't
kind
think they
of
would talk-
that
no.
kind of dystopia that is reality?
I don't think they'd allow it. That sounds like something that would be flagged off Twitter or whatever it's called.
So Cardinal Sin says, if you're sitting in a spaceship and another spaceship explodes, you would hear nothing. Yeah, that's right. So when we watch science fiction and we hear the boom booms and everything, that's just for
Right.
us.
Yes. And the ship's engines. Yes. Watch 2001: A Space Odyssey, and you'll see what we mean.
Never heard of it.
Mhm.
I only watched
Captain Finity.
2010.
I need some news sounds. Boop, 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 boop. Newsflash: time travel is impossible in real life. Well,
Incorrect.
Time travel to the past is
Right.
impossible in real.
Yeah, we're
real life.
currently traveling through time.
And right, and there's also time dilation if we manage to reach the speed of light or close to it.
Takes a lot of power. Do you have that kind of power?
Not right now.
Okay.
Let me get back to you.
Let me know.
Krona says, "What are pants?"
They're underwears.
Yeah, someone referred to my shorts as pants before. So,
Ooh.
Franco Walker says, "I thought the ambassador stays behind to negotiate a peace treaty." Yes, he does. He eventually does. So, but he, of course, he starts out first as helping the away team.
Yes.
Against the Eminiers.
I was being deliberately vague. I don't know why I'm trying to avoid spoilers from a television show from the 60s, man.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I said at the beginning you could talk about whatever you want in this episode, and Bob Fletcher's been doing it,
Okay.
so everybody can do it. Kronos says, after they tried to murder him, funny stuff. So Captain Infinity says, basically, you can't apply real world physics to Star Trek. Well, okay, you can try, but it makes sense that it's going to every once in a while not line up perfectly.
Wormholes are rabbit holes.
It's just
Yeah, because
fun. It's
James
just fun,
Caserta,
Captain.
we're
Okay.
having I don't know. I thought it was Tamura, but apparently the book reference to is Tamula, and so we've been referring based on the reference material that we have available. to
Oh
us.
yeah. I'm referencing the website called Chakotaya.net, which has all of the Star Trek transcripts created by a Star Trek fan. And so this Star Trek fan has called her Yaomin Tamula. Maybe she is referred to as Yaomin Tamura.
And
And-
I'm cross-referencing Jill's information on IMDb, and Miko Amayama plays the character Tamula.
Okay.
Tamula.
Yay.
Perhaps it's a pronunciation issue. I don't know.
Maybe. Krona says, what's with the overabundance of collars in the Star Trek universe?
A lot of
Colors,
old man
turtle-
neck.
Right, collars and turtlenecks.
Krona says, Spock never gets confused. That's not true. He's been puzzled before. And he will be puzzled again. Sean Carter says, it definitely takes a lot for him to be confused, though. It is definitely a rabbit hole. But trying to do it results in some creative stuff, learning, and for sure some discoveries. And yeah, and that's how you end up writing science fiction, is coming up with ways around the physical limitations of real physics. And when you come up with zany ways to compensate, that's your science fiction.
Yeah,
Well,
kind of like bending believability.
But going to the moon was science fiction in 1910.
Yeah, it was right. Who wrote? Somebody wrote a book about going to the moon.
It was a
long
cheese
time ago.
expedition.
Was that H.G. Wells?
Jules Verne.
Jules Verne. Thank you. I knew it was one of the old ones.
One of the old ones.
Yeah, but it was like some like a witchcraft. It was powered by witchcraft.
Right. One of the pioneers of science fiction.
Yes, sir. Captain Kennedy says, Sean Carter says, my point is to be consistent. Overanalyzing sound waves in space while hand waving time travel is hilarious to me.
Tickle me, Henry.
Well, Star Trek 3, he wasn't in his right mind, says Kronos. Well, right. he
No,
was all over that Ponfar.
And Kronos, in certain regions, pants are underwears, and in other places, pants are trousers. It's a whole thing. There are dialects and regions and things.
Mhm.
Trust me, I know my underwear vernacular.
I believe it. I will not question you.
I demand it.
Underwear. Captain Kennedy says, no, Scotty. Going through life at normal speed is everything, but time travel. Time travel. Nice wordplay, though.
If you are traveling through time, even if it is at the normal rate of speed, it is still traveling.
Kronos says, if you think they are underwears, you have problems.
Or I'm from Wales.
Now, my husband says underwears.
Underwears? Well, yeah. What am I going to do with one underwear?
Plural form?
He does.
I need two of them.
The Comic Relief Crusader says, gotta get some work done. Be back soon. Okay, see you later, Comic Relief Crusader. Thank you for coming around.
Take care, sir.
And Cardinal Sin says, the book, The Science of Star Trek, tries to playfully explain away science plot holes in the original series. That sounds like a very fun book.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Finity says, parallel universes, however, are hypothetically possible, and that's why the story I'm writing is about them. And you know what? Back in the 60s, time travel to the past was theoretically possible. They hadn't disproved it until recently. So Star Trek, it's still science fiction to explore the possibilities of time travel in the 60s. and James Curtis says, she's wrong.
Who's
and
wrong?
Captain Finity is in the background, so I assume he has something to share with us. So let's see what he has to share. And then we'll be able to continue and finish our episode. We will see. There's no but. For rabbit holes and exploration. Have you not heard my show?
You have a show?
So H.G. Wells. No, yeah, I know. It's H.G. Wells, Jules Verne. Oh. Cardinal Sin says, and the French film Trip to the Moon was made in 1902. And Sean Carter says, here's a noodle baker. We aren't really traveling through time. We're experiencing it from different perspectives. Okay, here we go. Hello, Captain Cockney Spock. Hey, you're back to Captain Cockney Spock, or you're still Captain Kennedy? Hello.
Hello, Captain. Captain, we can't hear you.
Okay, it looks like we can't hear him, so let's see how much through the episode we can get before he is capable of using his internets. Anon thinks that the war will be an end to civilization, but that's only because it's the life that's been surrounding them for 500 years. They know nothing but this clinical and sanitized war. And I have some dialogue here from Anon. Yeah.
Oh, wait, is this here? Okay, here we go.
Hi, sorry, my internet, it's still coming through.
There you are. We hear you now, sir.
Yes, did you have something to share about this episode? Okay, while we wait for that, Scotty, could you please read the private chat?
You will be responsible for an escalation that will destroy everything. Millions of people horribly killed. Complete destruction of our culture here. And yes, the culture on Bendikar. Disaster, disease, starvation, horrible lingering death, pain and anguish.
And he calls Kirk a monster, and Kirk corrects him a barbarian. And Kirk says, I am a barbarian. You said it yourself.
And that is what I wanted to, that I had a little bit of a geek out today. And it's like, what kind of monster are you? And Kirk goes,
I'm not sure I can hear you. Wait for my internet to catch up.
Okay. Oh, you got the dialogue for this, Jill?
Yes.
Nice.
I put it in the, you can read it.
Oh no, but that he says, he just sits there and he says, what kind of monster are you? I'm a barbarian. You said it yourself. I had hoped I had spoken only figuratively. Oh no, you were quite accurate, and I plan to prove it to you. And that is why James Kirk is so awesome, because not only is he looking down the barrel of death, not only is he preparing to destroy an entire planet, he's going to do all of this knowing that he's absolutely correct. This guy is absolutely terrified of everything that is going to happen, and Kirk is willing to lose. He is going to lose because he's going to die. And probably everybody's going to get in trouble for General Order 24. And he's just like, that is the first time I ever heard another famous phrase that I use more regularly because it's easier to fit into a conversation. But whenever I say, I accept your apology, this is what I'm doing, because it's like, I'm happy to lose, but I know that I am in the right. It's fine. If you want to walk away thinking that you beat the crap out of me, that's great. I accept your apology because, yeah, I am a barbarian. It's true. You called me that yourself. This is why Captain Kirk is awesome, because even in the face of everything going against him, he's like, fine, think you're right. I don't care. Love it.
Yeah.
I just squeed out loud. I stopped the episode. I called all my friends and I was like, hey, have you guys heard the gospel of Captain James T. Kirk recently? Or like, Scott, again, is it Tuesday?
It is Tuesday.
They know me as well as you.
And you know.
Well, and
Kirk's
something
ship
something I wanted to bring up, but I was wondering, is the other planet that was a branch off their civilization that they're at war with, Vendari, would have been
Bendikar.
Right. Don't you think part of this mission should be for the Enterprise to contact that planet to say, hey, do you know what's going on? You know, talk to both sides rather than just deal with one?
And eventually they do. Their entire mission is to try and normalize relations between Aminiar and Bendikar. They would have eventually, but they had to go somewhere first, and they went to Aminiar first, just because.
Rather than nice if they mentioned it, just maybe a line towards the end saying, now let's go over to the other planet and let them know. Or Anon 7 could say, all right, and then beam up the Enterprise, and they take him over to the other planet as a diplomat.
Well,
I don't want to add what's not there.
Yeah, I think that the star cluster itself there was supposed to be an establishment of a spaceport, and they would have had to discuss it with both Aminiar and Bendikar. Right,
because it did say they were capable of space travel. They just didn't leave outside their solar system, I think is what it said.
That's right. Well, they can travel in space, but they don't leave their solar system. They're just stuck in this endless war forever with their neighboring planet. And yes, why didn't the Federation contact the other planet yet? Well,
they didn't have the opportunity.
The Enterprise is the flagship, so they're the first ones on the scene. So this is the first planet they're interacting with. And they only have like how many ships? Like 12, 13? I don't know.
Right. Oh, I just recently saw a video about that.
And so maybe that's the reason. I don't know. Because it's a touchy situation. You can't just call on the phone, I guess, maybe. But it's a good question. I like it. But Kirk calls for General Order number 24, and we never find out whether this is a bluff or not, but it's a call for the Enterprise to destroy Aminiar 7. And it comes down to Kirk protecting his crew. In order to protect his crew, this war has to end because they cannot be seen as casualties of this war. And Anon isn't working to negotiate the lives either, so In fact, it's the opposite. He gathers the people he does have handy and is planning to kill hostages. So the threat of force is all that remains, and while Star Trek always strives to prevent it and avoid it, this episode shows how it's sometimes a necessary threat. Not taking that kind of chance was probably how the USS Valiant was lost.
The Valiant was lost.
That's the minnow.
Oh, wrong ship.
And as Kirk says, I didn't start it, Councilman.
But I am liable to finish it.
A meteor cannot attack because the Enterprise is out of range. And meanwhile, Spock and his group are moving through the corridors.
Does he say Mr. Scott or Scotty as he lunges across the desk? I think he says Scotty, and he's like, Scotty, General Order 24, 2 hours. Do you hear me, Scotty? 2 hours.
Oh, I didn't get that.
And by the way, I'd like to say that also, and now because I'm absolutely fangirling out about Captain Kirk right now, he's having a great hair day.
Can you go back one frame, Jill?
Yes, exactly.
All right,
Look
sorry,
at
go
it.
ahead. All right, continue. Thank you. I just wanted to see something. Go ahead.
No, he looks fantastic. Check out that hair. Oh,
Yeah,
if only I could be as cool as Captain
Look at
Kirk.
that. See, that's what you don't see in current Trek right there.
I like DePaul's hair.
DePaul does have nice hair. That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. Trip Tucker's got a pretty good view.
This is a really funny line from Spock. He has a great line here.
Yeah,
This is my favorite part. So Kirk is here. He's got the guards taken out. He's got a couple of disruptors. And
I thought you would need my help.
yeah, that's right. I see I am in error.
Oh no, Spock. I need the help in there.
Yeah, so Vendikar is realizing that the quota of people needing to die hasn't been met. A real conflict is brewing, and Kirk is counting on it. Anan is growing desperate. He needs help.
And I wanted to point out too that the guy who's right behind Spock's shoulder, Spock's on our right side, he does appear in Star Trek. I just can't remember where yet. It's bugging me, but he's in Star Trek in a different episode.
Let me see, because that guy plays SAR 6. I think he's Robert Sampson.
I could be wrong. I was
Let's
trying to
see
find
where-
his name in the credits. I don't know if he's listed in this episode.
Are we going to look for that?
I'm
Oh,
on
it's
it.
not necessary. It's not necessary.
Okay, so why
You're right.
for
It's
that?
Robert Sampson. Yeah.
Robert
All
Sampson.
right, go ahead. Go ahead,
Robert
Jill.
Sampson is his real name?
Yes.
Okay. And here's the definitive speech where Kirk is doing what he must to save the Enterprise, and in doing so, save this world also from its endless war. An endless war. I don't want to get political, but we kind of have endless wars right now with powers orchestrating them that are detached from the loss of it, especially with drone technology and stuff. But don't really want to talk about it.
And I stand corrected. He was not in another episode. I've just seen him in so many different TV shows and movies that I thought it was Star Trek, but no. He's more prominent later on. So that explains why he doesn't have a lot of lines in this.
Okay. Can you be Captain Kirk again, Sky?
Oh yeah, for sure. Totes. So Kirk says, all right, let's go. All right, be Kirk, be the ball. Death, destruction, disease, horror. That's what war is all about, Anan. That's what makes it a thing to be avoided. You made it neat and painless. So neat and painless, you've had no reason to stop it. And you've had it for 500 years. Since it seems to be the only way I can save my crew and my ship, I'm going to end it for you. One way or another. Mr. Ambassador.
And Spock instructs Kirk on the functions of the war computers and where to destroy them to break the contract of war. So the war between Vendikar. So they're going to break the contract, break the treaty or whatever. Well, it's not a treaty; it's a contract.
Agreement, I suppose.
It's an agreement to kill for both of them to kill their own population.
I suppose it is a level of a peace treaty, though, because it is restricting them from using actual weapons.
Yes.
It's an agreement. Sorry.
That's true. You're right. It's an agreement to not use real weapons, to just murder your own population.
Yes. It's a good deal.
That's if you're too scared to fight a real war. And I guess they are. And Kirk uses his phaser to destroy the computer.
No time to talk. Captain, are you going to talk this computer off of a ledge? No, not this time, Spock. We're on a bit of a crunch. I'll just shoot it.
This one doesn't seem much like talking anyway.
It's true. It's not sentient.
So now with the computer-led war game gone, Miniar and Vendikar must either wage a real war or come to a peace agreement, and you can tell that Anan has never even considered the possibility that peace could happen. He says they're killers, and that so are the Earthlings. And there's one more Kirk speech here.
Ooh, you're spoiling me.
I
And
don't
so
want to be burdened.
Kirk says, all right, it's extinct. Hang on. Let's take that back from the top. All right, it's instinctive, but the instinct can be fought. We're human beings with the blood of 1,000,000 savage years on our hands, but we can stop it. We can admit that we're killers, but we're not going to kill today. That's all it takes, knowing that we're not going to kill today. Contact Vendikar. I think you'll find that they're just as terrified, appalled, horrified as you are, that they'll do anything to avoid the alternative I've given you. Peace or utter destruction. It's up to you.
There it is. I must have missed it. Yeah, that's where they mentioned the other planet, so that's good. That's where they explain it.
And that
Explain what?
They do contact the Vindicars, right? And he's right. Yeah. They would be tired of the war as well. So yeah, so they do explain it. So I'm glad.
Yes, they do, and you can tell Gino Kuhn spent a lot of time with this speech because it's just perfect.
Yeah, like you said earlier, there was a lot of rewrites, so it makes sense. It paid off.
Right. Mm-hmm. That part of humanity's choosing not to be violent, to make that you're making choices.
Well, and it's a fear of the escalation to a full-fledged war. Part of the things that Anon 7 is proud about between Vendikar and Aminion is the fact that they've tidied it up. They've made it so that they've done away with death, disease, like all of the horrible, not just of war, but everything else. Spock, when beaming down, says it is an orderly, peaceful society to the extreme. And so in some strange way, this war has actually made it so that Aminiar and Vendikar are advanced civilizations. But unfortunately, the price is too high. And it's something that is lost in their modern society. And so Kirk says, well, if you're going to have a war, let's not fake it.
Yeah, an advanced civilization with nice and perfectly healthy chickens.
But that's why I was wondering if that is where population control plays in. If they're saying that they weren't able to advance unless they controlled the population.
I appreciate the inference of it, but I don't think it's overtly stated in the episode.
No, they definitely did not say it outright. No.
And Fox, having experienced some real time, not just being a diplomat, but actually hanging out. He's decided to volunteer to help negotiate peace for Vendikar and Aminiar.
Oh, you didn't do the one thing I do, and one of my favorite lines from him from 7. Your General Order 24. Just the way he says it. It just no, I want it. That's a new ringtone. Oh, love it.
And that is a crazy caller on Fox.
Here. Oh yeah, I didn't get it, but if you really want to say it, here it is.
No, it's cool. I did it. It's done. No, I already did. I'm not going to do the whole thing.
Yeah, okay. That's a little bit back.
I'll do the whole thing. Because I know I'm never going to have an opportunity to do a line read on this. There can be no peace. Can't you see? We've admitted it to ourselves. We're a killer species. It's instinctive. It's the same with you. Your General Order 24. Die now and peace must be achieved.
Yeah, but then so then we have those speeches reversed. The Kirk speech goes after this statement.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to make funny voices, but the Kirk speech was good.
Yeah, it was. And so this is just another gamble that Kirk takes that pays off. It's great. It's a good episode. And Captain, you almost make me believe
Oh yeah.
in luck.
The sting at the end of this with the music, the wah, 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 I was like, that wasn't necessary, but I do like it. And it's like, why, Mr. Spock, you almost make me believe in miracles.
I don't mind it. I think it was well placed. Anyway.
It doesn't bother me, but I thought that you could have left it without having the little look at Spock. Isn't he silly? Uh-oh.
I think he's silly.
Robitussin?
So guest star David Opatashu for Anon 7. And Gene Lyons as Ambassador Fox.
Yeah, Gene Lyons passed away in 1974 at the age of 53, relatively young age.
Oh, that's terrible.
I thought he was 53 in this episode. My God.
I know I think it's the eyes. I think the eyes made him look older than he was. The bags, maybe.
Yeah, those are pretty extreme bags.
The guy who played Anon 7, he was actually 25.
Fair.
Barbara Babcock was 18.
As Maya 3. And Miko Mayama as Tamura.
Tamura.
There
we go. David L. Ross is our boy Galloway. Hooray.
Oh, and Robert Sampson does get a mention.
Yeah. Sean Kenny as DePaul. And Robert Sampson as SAR 6. Oh, and you mentioned him.
He plays the bad guy in so many things after this.
Yeah, thank you, Pop Culture Carrier. You did a great job going through the actors before you even got to them. Good job. And then, right, there was one more thing in the book.
Oh.
There's this. This is... Where is my... Okay, so it says, when CBS announced that they had remastered the original Star Trek in high definition, they also announced plans to redo the visual effects, recalls Michael Okuda, one of the remastering project's 3 visual effects producers, along with Dave Rossi and Denise Okuda. Of course, we knew fans would be skeptical. We shared their concern, and we were determined to respect the artistry and storytelling of those who made that classic show back in the 1960s. This photo of the CBS digital crew was taken in November 2006. The occasion was Green Screen Day, when the crew would shoot images of the humanoid life forms, in other words, themselves, that would appear typically in unrecognizably tiny form, except for to Scotty, within a number of the completed maps.
And right front and center there is Michael and Denise Okuda.
Oh, yeah, I see them. They're in uniform.
Yeah, of course they are. Come on. When you have that gig, it's like, can I be on screen? I want to be in uniform. I want a uniform. Can I keep the uniform?
And he's very loud on Twitter.
It depends on how much volume you put on your...
Yeah, I definitely don't want to get into the politics, but thank you. Standing in the back row far right is the project's visual effects supervisor, Neil Ray. Also in the back row, artist Max Gable is seen in a brown t-shirt. Where am I? I was looking for him. And producer Dave Rossi in a gold Starfleet tunic.
Cool.
Producers Michael and Denise Okuda, also in Starfleet garb, kneel side by side in the center of the front row. Sitting cross-legged in the very front, the cheerful figure in black is the project's executive producer, David LaFontaine.
Hey, David LaFontaine.
Yeah, good stuff.
It's just a fun name to say, LaFontaine.
No, I don't know. That was included in the thing, so I read it.
Cool. Nice.
So now I grade the episode. We grade the episodes. I give it an easy A+ here. As I said in the beginning, this episode holds a timeless type of message that was relevant in the Vietnam War when it was made and just as relevant today with the incredible improvements in AI and drone technology that make war more clinical in its application, and even just in general, given politicians who are so detached from the battlefield that the troops they send out are not but numbers. Anon 7. So that's my review. And what do you guys think?
Oh, this is an A plus. This is if there were more. I don't have enough pluses. There aren't any letters high enough. I don't have a number enough. This would probably be. Yeah, I'll spoil it for next week. I would give this an A plus, and I'm going to give Space Seed an A for next week. I think this episode is better than Space Seed.
I don't know yet. You'll have to wait to find out
I
which
will.
kind of A. It will definitely be an A. But
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an A, but I'm going to have to revisit. But this is just one of those episodes where not only is it sort of a rough and tumble action episode, but it also presents interesting ideas. It's not just opposing sides, but there is a problem to be solved, and it is the aggressor, and it requires a response from the Enterprise and its crew. You get great Scotty stuff. And maybe I'll change my mind because it has been a while since I've seen Space Seed, but I am. Like, as of right now, I think that this episode is better than Space Seed. That's how much I love it.
This is one of those perfect episodes that show how Star Trek can present you with ideas, but not necessarily tell you what to think of it.
Mm-hmm.
You come up with your own conclusions.
And it's one of those episodes as well where it's like, do you even agree with the way that Kirk is going about it? Like, he does threaten to destroy the planet.
Yes, and that is very conflicting.
Yeah,
I thought, man, am I okay with this?
But he took a gamble, and while it's you almost make me believe in miracles. But the thing is that it was a feeling that a very orderly and proper civilization would go to any lengths to try and stop the horrors of war. So it's either they destroy each other, we destroy them, back them into a corner, and hopefully we can reason them out of it to sue for peace.
Yeah. Yes. Agreed.
Is that too much? Was that too much?
No, it was perfect.
Okay.
No, I was laughing at James Caserta.
Oh, what's Jim saying?
No, but first I want to get Pop Culture Curator's review of this episode.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm going to sound the same. I gave it an A plus as well. I think it's an exceptional episode. I like the parallels to when I was young and I saw this. I never thought that it would mirror the future so much as it does, or at least, I mean, when I was a kid, it was the future, but now I'm in the present day.
Mm-hmm.
And yes. I like the fact that the Enterprise did not have to use violence to end the war because they had been at war for 500 years. So I'm glad that it was a good juxtaposition to show Kirk being able to solve the situation without war, actually, pretty much, without having to use destruction.
And it was pretty lucky that it ended that way.
Yes.
With the method of getting to peace. Uhura's best line in it is "Outlook hopeful."
Exactly right, because think about it: if the Enterprise would start blasting away by sending photon torpedoes, like even Scotty threatened, that doesn't seem like a very peaceful way to resolve a planet. In my opinion, if they've been at war for 500 years, I'm talking about the citizens here. I consider them like victims. So the last thing they need is an outsider to come and start blasting them away because they have a horrible administration, right?
That makes sense. I agree.
But yeah, I enjoy it. Thank you, Jill.
Yes, you're right. That's the great thing about Star Trek is that the antagonists are not necessarily villains.
Well, in war, it's the citizens that suffer the most. The administration and people in charge rarely ever do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the fact that I like that they didn't have to, because that's what would have happened if you would have had to blast the planet. A lot of innocent people would have died who had no choice over the situation.
Oh, they had choices.
No, not the citizens. I'm talking.
Well, you're right. They could have rebelled, like you're saying, but they were convinced. That means it's almost time to be over, and I could talk about this for another 45 minutes at least.
True, it is that time.
This is such a good episode. We could be here all day. But Captain Finity, since you're here, do you remember this episode? Do you have a review for it?
Yeah, I just guess I didn't buy into the premise. I can't imagine people just calmly walking into self-deletion, but interesting idea, I guess.
Well, maybe at first it was difficult, but after 500 years, could you imagine them being brainwashed into just accepting it?
That's kind of like Logan's Run,
I guess
right?
I couldn't.
Yeah, like Logan's Run, the
Go ahead, Captain.
carnival. Well, okay, so it only works for you if they think it's something, if they don't know that they're about to die.
I guess I just instinctively never bought. I mean, just look at what's happening now. You know, war's just an irrational madness. Look at the civilians getting bombed into smithereens as we speak. The people
Yes.
going calmly, going, "Oh, let's just do this instead." I mean, but we should do it. Saves on infrastructure, rebuilding.
Well, no, but well, okay, we're right. The message there is that then the war would be endless, but the wars are already endless. So
Well, and we have created weapons that will kill people without damaging the environment around them.
I mean, we're literally right now talking about, are we going to escalate to full nuclear war? So, you know, literally right now. So nothing's changed.
You just made me think too much about this episode. So thank
Yeah,
you.
if
Now-
you guys
now I
want
have way more research to do.
yeah, just walk me off the edge of self-deletion, guys. You're really making the dark cloud of the silver lining be great.
Yeah.
Everything's awful. The bombing, the people, they're dying. It's
It
Eeyore.
is,
Well-
it is.
well, like
I'm
I
not
said,
trying
it-
to laugh at it because it's funny, but just
No,
laughing
I
'cause
will.
it's
I am
terrible.
I
going
bring up the
to.
episode. That's what it's about.
That
I'm
is
gonna
what
work-
it's about. No, you're right.
I'm just
Yeah,
Do
cheering.
tribbles next time.
And it's always the citizens
I
that
don't
suffer
choose
the
the episode.
most.
Well, in this case, I can agree.
Yeah. Well, no, we could be here for a long time talking about war. So instead of doing that, I'm going to read the chat a little bit and wrap up the show. James Caserta says time travel in the 60s was possible, no longer. No, I meant to say that the time travel to the past hadn't been disproven. It was like still an idea that hadn't been tested, or I mean, not like we can actually test it now, but you know, there are things that we did to logically say that no, we probably can't do that.
Have you ever guys thought about the inevitable heat death of the universe?
All the time, pal.
I'm going to do a stream eventually on Project Looking Glass, and I'm going to.
I don't know what that is.
If it's true, it's supposedly our government created a window to the past they could look through. It's true.
I look forward to the stream.
Yeah.
I think Cardinal Sin might know about that also. Resolute Germ says they didn't actually disprove time travel. They changed the math to fit what they wanted it to be. A common problem in the last few decades.
Solve that solution.
Well, that is Resolute
solution
Germ's
to that
opinion
problem.
there. Vanity is mistreating his interwebs.
I hate that victim blaming. No, that's not even a joke.
Damn
That's the
interwebs.
thing. I take the best. I've had the engineers out. I pay my bills. I pay my taxes. No, I take great pride. I've got the fastest bit of the internet, but that's how networks work. You're only as fast as your weakest. No, I've got the fastest bit of the internet. Thank you. It's I'll blame New Zealand government, or maybe it's you. Maybe it's you, Kronos. Maybe it's one of you lot out there. No, my internet's perfect. Thank you.
Kronos, what are you doing to Captain Infinity's internet? Resolute
Sure.
Germ says, oh, wait, sorry.
No, I was just going to ask to show us on the doll where you touched Captain Infinity's internet.
Oh, it's victim blaming, isn't it? It's one thing. I pay for the internet, I pay for my taxes, I maintain the wires, I do everything my end, and then I have to suffer the indignity of being the person not getting the internet and then getting blamed for it. Yeah, it's probably the story of my life. I have to suffer, then I get blamed for the suffering. Where's the sympathy? You're right. This is a story of my life. Thank you for the realization.
I'm sorry, your internet is not so great.
My internet's perfect. That's what I said. Don't move on.
Okay. Franco Walker says Kirk loves giving speeches just before he destroys the planet's way of life. Well, it was either that or allowing all of the people on the Enterprise to kill themselves or die or whatever the planet was going to do to them. So he pretty much didn't have a choice in this
Perform their civic duty. Their global duty.
case. Kronos said, did someone just say
Totes. I totes said totes. Totes.
everyone should be scared about war? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's the thing that
Nah,
dire.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah. It's everywhere.
I say nuke the entire planet from orbit. It's the only way.
It's the only way to be sure.
Oh my god.
Well,
Okay.
but let's all remember that the people in charge have backup plans. We don't.
Oh, the Pentaverate, the Rothschilds. The...
I do not have a spaceship or a
No,
underground
or a bunker, right?
Hey, Fallout. We should. Yeah, I'm gonna go play Fallout after this.
James Caserta says, analogy. Thoughts could be just as destructive as weapons.
An idea can be just. Yeah, totally. James Caserta, you're absolutely correct.
And Matt G reminds you to hit the like.
Hit the like, guys.
That's a mirror reference. And one man with an idea can change an empire.
It's true. Snail Messiah says that guy looks like one of the actors who played the early Klingons.
Like Friday's Child Klingons?
I think he's talking about a non-7.
Oh, that's true.
Passive aggression.
What do
Does
you
that mean? Was I doing that?
I was probably doing it.
I'm capable. Franco Walker says, great episode, A+.
I agree.
And Kronos gives it a B.
I gave it a bish.
James Caserta said, she stopped caring at 30.
Well, no, she stopped aging at 30. Actually, I saw Barbara Babcock on an episode
aging,
of Cheers from like 1984.
Aging.
She was still looking pretty good.
Oh. Cool. And James Caserta continues, Trek only did about 3 to 4 bad episodes, 75 gems. We've seen at least one really terrible episode.
Yes, but what of Lazarus?
And James Caserta says A++. After Kronos says space hippies are an A+.
Herbert.
Hmm.
No, that's what they say. That's the derogatory term, Herbert. James Caserta say the AI may be in charge ultimately.
Well, I just learned in the last episode, Ben Stiller's favorite episode is a space hippie episode. If my chat was truthful, which they probably were.
Yeah, Kronos, I'm with you on that one.
James Caserta says the whole show is off the charts. It's a freaking life form. Did you jiggle the cable?
Have you tried turning it off and turning it on again?
Yeah, are you using Ethernet? Ethernet will be much better.
Oh,
Ethernet. Yeah, Ethernet is the key. What? No.
Are you kidding? Hang on. Are you really? You want to go there? That is such a myth. It's not a myth.
My internet is better.
I tested it. Well, no, allow me to. It is a myth because I tested it.
I tested it
First
too.
of all,
my internet's
there's
better.
Well, if you interrupt, it makes you right.
That's what I usually find. Yeah.
I tried to test. No, first of all, there's no such thing as an Ethernet connection for an iPhone. So
that's true.
So maybe if you think Ethernet makes such a big difference, maybe tell Apple, because none of their devices have an Ethernet connection. I had this discussion with the phone company. I had to spend good money on an Ethernet adapter just to prove that when I plugged it in, it was even slower, which is exactly what happened. And I can't do that experiment on the phone because there's no such thing as an Ethernet adapter for a smartphone. So the whole idea of going to Ethernet, tell that to Apple, who stopped making devices. They haven't made a Ethernet compatible computer, let alone phone, since about 2007. I made that number up, but so that's
logical to me.
So
okay, so I was meaning.
Right. So Apple,
wow, I'm surprised you sounded that good on a phone.
Yeah, we need an Ethernet jack on the phones.
Yeah, you should have one, but you don't.
Just
okay,
kidding.
that I believe that. Yeah, you should be streaming on a laptop. Using phone.
Should be. Well, no, that's not true either because that's. I mean, I'm a customer.
Obviously.
So.
Yeah. No.
Anyway,
well,
the browser
your phone
StreamYard doesn't work on the laptop with the browser, so that's not possible. And anyway, the I don't know. No one's really. I should just. I have no problem with it. My internet's perfect, so there's nothing I can do because my internet's perfect. So there's no point whether recommendations are serious or joking. There's no point saying there's nothing I can do because my internet is perfect. The problem that's how networks work. Only as slow or fast as its weakest link. So I've got fibre up to the gate. After that, it's a bit of string in the can. You'll have to speak to New Zealand government. It's my problem, but it's not my fault. Yeah.
Captain's also running Safari on his laptop, which doesn't support StreamYards.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, my idea only works if you're using a laptop, and you're not. So I rescind the suggestion. So thank you guys for joining us today. I'm so glad that we could hang out and talk about this Star Trek episode. It was a really fantastic episode that makes you think about really intense subject that could have carried this live stream off even further, but it might have also been kind of depressing because war is not a lot of fun.
To answer both those points, I'd like to exclude depressing war and self-deletion and include fascinating topics such as time travel and sublight travel and we once said we couldn't go to the moon, and yet Icarus said we could go to the sun. So you see there are limits we can under and overestimate. So I'm going to continue these conversations right now. I think I can just talk on my own for 3 hours before I even get any guests on, just based on conversations instigated today on this show. So join me on a non-World War III related Star Trek inspired discussion right after this show.
Hey, that's very exciting. Either head over to either head over to Bird of Prey 5's bed live stream or head over to Captain Infinity's.
It's going to be entitled
Physics Stream.
Yeah, Casablanca is now apparently a time travel movie. It's going to be the title.
Very cool.
Right. So
you figure out why.
I couldn't be more grateful for you guys joining me for the Star Trek episode. And so we'll review the animated series on Monday with Pop Culture Curator. Next Monday, we'll be reviewing the episode Albatross, which is back to form. We'll have a Star Trek episode there. Is there anything you'd like to plug on your channel, Pop Culture Curator?
Well, like Jill said, we have the Star Trek animated series reviews on Mondays, and then you'll find me here on Jill's and Tuesday during the day, and then today at 6 p.m. Pacific, we have the horror sci-fi reviews, and we're picking up with the Evil Dead trilogy. So we're on the third installment of the Army of Darkness, and tomorrow I have Gilligan's Island stream with Gorilla's Random Thoughts. I have to say that carefully because I stumble over the title. But Gilligan's Island reviews with Gorilla's Random Thoughts on Wednesdays.
Oh,
thank you, Jill.
Oh, right. You're welcome. Okay. I won't need to make a correction. Bird is probably not doing a normal stream today. Sometimes he does a member chat on Tuesdays. But,
okay.
But when he streams, it'll be so definitely just head over to Captain Infinity's because when he streams, Bird will stream tomorrow for Enterprise.
Yes.
So
Kapla.
Yeah.
Kapla, Bird of Prey.
I don't even know if I fixed.
But
are you guys, when you guys cover a quick question, when you two, when you watch the card, are you going to do videos on it like Bird does, reviews?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be the same stream as when we do the Quantum Leap, essentially. Kind of like this, really. And the thing is that I don't even know if we're going to be doing slides. Like we may just do a single image and talk over.
No, I'm not taking slides.
Yeah, like if anybody does slides, I might. But
yeah, like Scotty, you're on your own for the slides.
No, I know. I'm just happy to be able to have the conversation with you.
Anyone out there with any Blake 7 slides, send them to me now. Just DM me or Blake 7 slides. Thank you.
That show was canceled, so we won't be doing that.
Great. May I have the slides?
I didn't make them. And I'm not going to.
Oh.
How can I get any damn permits for something that's damned illegal?
I'm really busy, so I'm not going to do work I don't have to do. But what I will do is post a link to your channel so people can head over to your channel.
Rock and roll.
Yay.
In a few minutes. So do you want to plug your channel and tell us what's going on?
Just all the rabbit holes. I love rabbit holes. I'm all about the rabbit holes. 2 years of rabbit holes. So that's it. And fast internet. And good humor.
And we're just taking. I'm Scotty R37 from the Phantasmagorium Show, and we are taking this week off. Unfortunately, all of my co-hosts are on away missions and in other cities. So we'll be coming back. But typically, Kat and I have been talking about Batman and the Batman franchise on Wednesdays, and Jill and I have been talking about classic Quantum Leap. But I am taking Jill on a very torturous journey through Star Trek Patrick Stewart Season 3 until we give up. But yeah, that'll be happening not this Thursday, but next.
Yay.
Yeah, you don't have to fake it, baby.
Well, you know,
We'll find out together.
it'll be interesting, I think. It'll be an exercise in scholarly discipline for me.
Interesting.
And here's the poll for today. What grade do you give A Taste of Armageddon? 64% give it an A, in the A range. And I know at least one person wanted to give it more pluses than I have to offer.
More stars than in the galaxy.
Yeah. And then 33% put it in the B range, and only one person I'm suspecting gave it a F or D. Or a D. It could have just been a D.
Are you looking at Gorilla when you say that? Just kidding, Gorilla. Just kidding, Gorilla.
So indignant. Why do you always think that it was me?
No, Gorilla starts with his default F, but then he usually raises it up by the time we're done with the stream.
Mhm.
I thought it was the Nerdporeal life form.
Resolute Germ says, give up on Picard now. Save yourself time.
You're not my real mom.
Save yourself.
You're not my real mom.
Yeah, I don't want to
Let
talk
me-
too much about that.
Let me have my stuff. Let me play with my toys.
Yeah, but I will not be supporting Paramount if anyone is worried
Oh.
about that.
No, neither will I. It just comes with the show comes with my apartment. It's just something I get for free.
I will not further say anything.
Okay.
So
So let's go.
let's go. Yeah.
Let's get out of
Right.
here.
I need to close. I need to close this poll. How do I do? Right. For some reason, I can't close it. Here we go. End poll, and then we're going to play the trailer for Space Seed, which will be reviewed next Tuesday. So
If
that
any of you've ever heard of it, yes.
Space Seed? What's that? Don't
Right, we-
insult my intelligence, Gag.
James Caserta says women can create something out of nothing. Wow. I didn't know I had that power.
Yeah, that's like song. The power of wishes.
Arguments? Just kidding.
oh, that must be what James Caserta was saying. I thought he was talking positively, like I'm creative or something, but no, he's doing exactly what you're saying. And so now with that, I will be heading out.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you. Please stop by my
Now you're
stream.
sounding like Spock. If you're gonna get nasty, I'm gonna leave.
Oh, I have to find.
Thank you, Jill.
Leave. I think I drug it up. You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
She is. There she is.
I just got excited. Sorry. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, Jill.
Take care.
Captain's log, stardate 3142.3. Slightly over 2 centuries ago, a group of scientists planned for a race of supermen and created conquistadors.
Name? Khan Noonien Singh. From 1992 through 1996, absolute ruler of more than a quarter of your world.
Well, either choke me or cut my throat.
You fled. Why? Were you afraid?
I've never been afraid.
But you left at the very time mankind needed courage.
We offered the world order. I intend to take this ship.
Will you assist me?
Oh, please, Khan, don't ask me.
Leave me then. The battle begins again. Only this time is not the world will win. It's the universe. Kathy, you're no match for me. It does not matter. The captain is dead.